The sun dipped below the horizon, casting an amber glow over the sprawling expanse of Lithoria, where the peaks of the Eldertop Mountains seemed to pierce the veil of twilight. Beneath the canopy of the elder grove, Arwen moved silently, her fingers tracing the familiar path over the harp strings. The forest breathed around her, a living symphony of rustling leaves and distant creatures. Her heart quickened with the strange melody that had taken root within her very soul during the last moon cycle. As if summoned by the ethereal notes, a figure slipped through the shadows, their approach as silent as the falling dew. His reputation preceded him, Prince Kaelin, the exiled heir of the Ironwood throne, a realm now shrouded in mystery and betrayal. "Arwen," he said, his voice a low rumble, "your music calls forth an ancient power, one that has been dormant far too long." There was a gravity to his words that sent a chill through her, though she stood firm. "The Veridian Scales," Kaelin continued, his gaze intent, "they awaken, but not for long. There are those who seek their power for nefarious ends." She hesitated, glancing toward the forest's depths, where the melody seemed to originate. "What must I do?" Arwen asked, the question tasting foreign on her tongue. A sound like a rushing wind passed through the trees, and with it appeared Captain Alara, famed rogue and navigator of the skies. "You follow the Whisper's young harpist," she said, her eyes gleaming with mischief and something deeper still. "If we are to save Lithoria, we must set sail for the unknown." Together, the trio forged their uneasy alliance, united by the flute-like whispers of a mythos reborn. As they ventured deeper into the heart of Eldergrove, guided by the haunting melody, they knew well the journey ahead was fraught with peril. Forces unseen watched, and the weight of an age-old prophecy lingered heavily on Arwen's shoulders. But within her breast the song's power stirred, urging her toward the horizon, and a destiny unyielding. The airship cut through the violet-streaked sky, its sails catching the shimmering winds as it soared toward the shimmering clouds hugging the distant mountain range. Below, the sprawling tapestry of Lithoria stretched out like a quilt, while above, the stars winked into existence, ancient sentinels watching over their quest. Arwen stood at the bow, her harp cradled protectively in her arms. Her heart echoed the rhythm of the airship's engines, each note she played intertwining with the ship's steady hum. Kaelin, his cloak billowing in the wind, joined her, his eyes scanning the horizon. "Tell me, Arwen," he spoke over the rush of wind, "how did you first discover the melody?" She hesitated, fingers instinctively brushing the harp strings. "It was during the last lunar eclipse," she began, her voice a quiet thread of memory. "I wandered into the Elder Grove, drawn by a song that seemed to seep from the earth itself. It was the first night I dreamt of dragons." Kaelin nodded, lost in thought. "You've been chosen by fate," he murmured, "a fate entwined with the Veridian Scales. We must tread carefully, lest we awaken the dragon's wrath and not their blessing." Their conversation paused as Captain Alara joined them, her presence a burst of energy and undeniable charisma. "Our course is set for the Crystal Marshlands," she informed them, adjusting her aviator's goggles with a flourish. "It's where the first relics await, but the path is riddled with illusions and traps." "Yet each step forward sharpens our understanding," Arwen interjected, the resolve growing within her. As they sailed onward, she knew the melody would guide them through darkness and despair. The weight of legends pressed down on her, but she remained steadfast, for Lithoria's fate danced upon her fingertips. Arwen, Kaelin, and Alara understood their unity would only grow stronger against the trials ahead. Amidst foes concealed in shadows, truth and trust would be their compass. The melody of the Veridian Scales began to harmonize within their minds, guiding them ever onward to an uncertain destiny, keeping hopes alive as the whispers of history pushed them toward greater trials and deeper revelations. The crystal marshlands stretched before them, an eerie kaleidoscope of refracted light and vapor. The landscape shimmered like a liquid dream, blurring the line between reality and illusion. As Arwen, Kaelin, and Captain Alara disembarked from the airship, a palpable tension clung to the air, a promise of both beauty and peril. The trio ventured cautiously onto the marshland's path, which snaked its way through a maze of crystalline growths and fog-laden waters. The melody of the Veridian Scales grew more insistent, pulling them deeper into its shimmering embrace. "Stay close," Alara advised, her eyes scanning for danger. The crystal marshlands are known for their deceptive beauty. The path wove between the translucent spires that gleamed like shards of captured light, each step resonating faintly in time with Arwen's heart. As they pressed onward, the mists curled around their feet, whispering secrets from ages long past. Suddenly, from the fog emerged a shadow, a figure draped in armor that seemed forged from the very marsh itself. His eyes glinted with an otherworldly sheen. He was a keeper, guardian of the relics. "Who dares seek the scales?" His voice was a rumble, echoing like the distant roll of thunder. Arwen stepped forward, her harp cradled like a talisman. "We seek them not for ourselves, but for harmony, to restore balance to a world on the brink." The keeper's eyes softened, though his posture remained formidable. "To wield the scales requires a purity of purpose," he intoned, "and a courage to face what lies within." Kaelin nodded resolutely, voice steady. "Our intentions are true." The keeper's gaze flicked to each of them in turn, weighing their resolve. Then he raised a hand and the fog parted, revealing a winding path illuminated by a kaleidoscope of colors. "Follow the echoes of the song," he declared, "and the first relic shall reveal itself to those worthy." The trio continued, their resolve deepening with each step. The air hummed with magic, an intricate dance of possibility and fate as Arwen led the way, the song of the Veridian Scales guiding them inexorably toward a destiny intertwined with the heart of Lithoria itself. Yet with each note, the stakes grew ever clearer. Among whispers of dragons, they would either salvage a new dawn or plunge into shadow eternal. Guided by the prismatic path, Arwen, Kaelin, and Captain Alara pressed deeper into the crystal marshlands. The air grew thick with anticipation, each breath carrying the heady scent of blossoming potential. As they walked, the melody of the Veridian Scales wove among them, a living entity whispering secrets only they could hear. Under the ethereal glow of bioluminescent flora, they stumbled upon a clearing. At its center rested a pedestal, carved from the essence of the marsh itself. Upon it lay a gleaming artifact, the first of the Veridian Scales, shimmering with an ancient power that seemed to pulse in time with Arwen's heartbeat. Kaelin approached, a mixture of awe and reverence coloring his step. "Is this truly it?" he murmured, the magnitude of the moment resonate in his voice. Arwen nodded, her fingers unconsciously finding the strings of her harp. "The song is strongest here," she confirmed. "We have found the first scale." As she reached out, a rippling distortion coursed across the clearing, and from the shadows emerged a figure draped in obsidian robes, his eyes like liquid voids fixed on the trio with an unsettling intensity. "Children of Lithoria," the figure rasped, "you waste your time. The Veridian Scales are not for the likes of you." Alara stepped forward, defiance lighting her eyes. "And who are you to claim them?" she challenged. The robed figure chuckled, a sound like splintering glaciers. "I am but a harbinger," he replied, "a whisper of the forces that seek this power." Arwen felt the melody entwining with her soul, a warmth that banished the chill of the figure's presence. "We won't let darkness prevail," she declared, her voice a clarion call. With a flick of her wrist, Alara drew her dagger, its edge gleaming in the phosphorescent glow. Without another word, the figure retreated, his form dissolving into the mist like an unfinished thought. Kaelin placed a hand on the relic, its surface smooth and humming with potential. "The scale is ours," he stated, his voice carrying both relief and determination. "Our quest carries on." The first step in their journey was complete, yet Arwen knew this was but the beginning. The melody weaved around them, inspiring a new strength, and as they prepared to leave the marshlands, a profound realization took hold. Together, they were more than the sum of their parts. They were the hope of Lithoria, the embodiment of a prophecy older than time itself. Shadows may have threatened, but the light within them blazed ever brighter. The winds howled as the airship sliced through turbulent skies, carrying Arwen, Kaelin, and Captain Alara away from the crystal marshlands and toward uncharted lands. The newly acquired Veridian Scale pulsed with a radiant vibrancy, a beacon of hope and power. Yet the road ahead was fraught with unknown challenges. In the airship's hold, Arwen sat with the scale in her lap, her fingers absently plucking a soothing melody from her harp. The notes wrapped around her like a nurturing embrace, filling the void left by uncertainty. Kaelin paced nearby, his brow furrowed in thought, pondering their next move. The next destination, he mused aloud, must surely be Flame Gorge. The legends speak of fire essence tied to the scales there. Alara nodded, her eyes glued to the compass, which seemed to spin with a life of its own. But we won't be alone. The Harbinger mentioned others who covet the scales. She reminded them, glancing meaningfully at the faint scars across her arms, a testament to past skirmishes. Arwen's gaze bore into the depths of the scale, its verdant glow casting intricate shadows against her skin. "What do we know of Flame Gorge?" she asked, her voice soft yet resolute. "A land shaped by volcanic fury," Kalen replied, determination etched into his voice. "But ancient lore speaks of the Emberthorn, a relic that could guide those true of heart through the fiery domain." Alara's face brightened with a wry grin. "If destiny brought us thus far," she declared, "then we'll find a way through Flame Gorge too." Their conviction was punctuated by an unexpected jolt as the airship shuddered. Outside, a phalanx of ethereal serpents materialized, their scales iridescent in the storm's gloom. They swirled around the vessel, weaving a chaotic dance. Their intentions were not of malice, but guidance. Arwen felt a strange connection to them. It was as if the dragons of old whispered through these creatures. With delicate notes, she played a melody that sang of camaraderie and trust, and the serpents responded, their spirals softening. As miraculous as their appearance, the serpents began to spiral toward the horizon, their forms vanishing amidst the roiling clouds. "Follow them," Arwen urged, feeling a certainty deep within herself. "They know the way." Captain Alara complied, steering the airship along the path illuminated by the serpents' lingering trails. The journey through Flame Gorge beckoned, a crucible that would test their resolve, even as the song of the Veridian Scales promised new revelations and alliances forged in fire. They were not yet finished, not by far. The heart of Lithoria awaited its awakening. The airship descended through thick plumes of smoke, skimming the jagged peaks that surrounded Flame Gorge. The scorched landscape loomed below, fissures snaking through the earth like veins of molten gold. The skies above churned with dark clouds, heavy with sparks ready to ignite at a moment's notice. Arwen, Kalen, and Alara emerged from the safety of the airship's cabin, the oppressive heat of the volcanic realm enveloping them instantly. "Looks more inviting from way up yonder," Alara quipped, fanning her face with one hand. Kalen's gaze swept the hellish landscape, searching for signs of the Emberthorn. "The lore speaks of a path illuminated by flames that never consume," he said, though uncertainty tinged his words. "But here, everything burns." Arwen felt the Veridian scale vibrate softly, like a heart that beat with gentle resolve. Clutching it close, she began to play once more, a soothing harmony that rose above the crackling embers and roaring winds. Around them, a series of fire-touched stones began to glow, resonating with the notes she conjured. "This way," Arwen urged, leading them toward the pulsing beacons that mirrored the rhythm of her song. The ground shifted beneath their feet as they traveled deeper into the gorge, but Arwen's melody held true, guiding them past geysers that erupted with liquid flame and through caverns where magma painted the walls with treacherous beauty. In a chamber nestled deep within the gorge, they found the Emberthorn, an ancient tree unscathed by the surrounding inferno. Its branches shimmered with light, casting a lattice of shadows that seemed to weave an intricate tale. Kalen approached first, touching the bark reverently. "The Emberthorn," he breathed, its heat embracing rather than singeing, "the fire that guides without burning." As Arwen played a soft refrain, the Veridian scale responded with a surge of energy. A glowing symbol appeared upon the bark, depicting the next step in their journey. Yet at that moment, tremors ripped through the earth, a reminder of the volatile nature of their surroundings. Intruders descended from above, figures cloaked in ash and shadows, their intentions as dark as the coal-dusted sky. "Fools," one of them sneered, eyeing the relic with voracious intent. "The scales will be our salvation." Alara, ever the quick thinker, had her daggers drawn in a flash, eyes narrowing. "Not if we have anything to say about it," she declared, sliding into a defensive stance. The tension crested as the earth beneath them rumbled ominously. Arwen, Kalen, and Alara knew too well that their quest was teetering upon a knife's edge. United by destiny and the melody that bound them, they steeled themselves for a confrontation that would test their mettle in ways none had foreseen. They had found the fire within, and with it the courage to face down any enemy. The tension exploded like the geysers surrounding them as Arwen, Kaelin, and Captain Alara faced off against the shadow-cloaked intruders. The heat of the moment matched the fiery landscape, every heartbeat thundering louder than the flames that crackled through the gorge. Arwen, feeling the desperate urgency of the moment, plucked a fierce tune from her harp, the notes clashing like sword against shield with the rising chaos around her. It wove a barrier of sound between them and their adversaries, the magic of the Veridian Scale lending strength to her music. Kaelin took advantage of the distraction, stepping forward with a clang of his sword against the leader of the intruder's blade. "You underestimate our resolve," he grunted through gritted teeth, holding his ground against the force bearing down upon him. Alara, agile and quick as the wind, danced through the melee. Her daggers flashed like shards of night sky, deflecting attacks as she flanked their foes with swift precision. "We fight not just for the scale," she called out, "but for a world worth fighting for." The battle raged, the air filled with the sonorous clang of steel and the unyielding spirit of their melody. Arwen's fingers moved with blistering speed, coaxing power from the strings, each note an incantation of protection and courage. Yet, even in the chaos, Arwen sensed a shift, a disturbance in the cacophony that hinted at the true nature of their opponents. Echoes beneath the music revealed desperation masked as bravado, a realization forming in the back of her mind. With a sudden, deft maneuver, she ended her song with a climactic crescendo, a gale of sound strong enough to push their adversaries back. "Wait," she cried out, her voice clear and commanding. "There is more at stake here than mere conquest. You fight for power, but what is it you truly seek?" The silence that followed was pierced by the soft hum of the emberthorn. The intruders hesitated, shadows concealing their faces, but not the fear brewing in their eyes. The leader, sword momentarily wavered, looked at Arwen with a mix of awe and trepidation. "We seek survival," he admitted, voice a whisper of regret. "The realms are unraveling. We thought the scales might curb the chaos." This admission fueled Arwen's resolve. She met their gaze, unwavering. "Then let us find a way together," she proposed, knowing full well the risks. For Lithoria's survival required unity, not division. Kaelin lowered his sword but remained vigilant as he glanced toward Alara, who stood ready, yet prepared for peace if it could be forged. The intruders slowly nodded, wariness giving way to reluctant trust. The Veridian Scale in Arwen's possession brightened, acknowledging the new alliance. Together, they pulled deeper bonds from the firelight, united by a shared destiny, as the emberthorn whispered tales of hope born from flames, guiding them toward a shared journey that was far from its end. The newly formed alliance left Flame Gorge behind them, the airship casting its shadow on the ruby-hued horizon as it sailed toward their next destination. The mood aboard was one of cautious optimism, mingled with the burden of responsibilities yet to be fulfilled. Arwen sat quietly, surrounded by her new companions, both old and new. The quiet hum of the Veridian Scale provided a counterpoint to her thoughts. Every harmonic she discovered in its melody seemed to promise answers if only she could decipher its mysteries. Kaelin, standing next to her, spoke low and reflective. "We've managed to set aside our differences for now, but hard choices lie ahead. The scales might not solve everything, but they offer hope." Alara joined them, her fingers idly tracing patterns on the ship's polished wood. "Hope is a rare commodity these days," she remarked. Her gaze shifted to the horizon. "Our path is clear. The Arctic cradle awaits. The tales say its icy grasp hides the secrets of endurance." Their new companions, those who once opposed them but now sailed alongside, nodded in agreement. Each carried with them threads of stories of worlds on the brink and the desperate need for salvation. The Arctic cradle loomed into view, a fortress of ice and snow, untamed beauty stretching as far as the eye could see. The chill of it crept into their bones long before the airship's berth touched the icy plains. "The artifact here speaks to resilience," Arwen noted, feeling the vibrations of the Veridian Scale shift, the essence of endurance tempering its song. The group pressed forward, the snow crunching beneath their boots, each breath a cloud of vapor in the frigid air. As they moved deeper, the wind's howl became a primal force, echoing through the crevasses in a rhythmic symphony. Within the Arctic cradle, they found a cavern adorned with frozen stalactites glistening like chandeliers. At the heart of the cavern stood a colossal ice sculpture, an ancient guardian shaped by time itself. Words seemed to echo from within its form, but only Arwen truly heard them. With gentle notes from her harp, she coaxed the guardian's secrets, the crystallized form responding as if in conversation with her melody. Cracks spidered across its surface, not as a threat but as an unveiling, revealing the ice-shrouded relic within. It was a keystone, infused with the wisdom of ages past. "Another piece of our puzzle," Kalen breathed, awe lighting his features. Their combined purpose was solidifying, one artifact at a time. Yet even amidst discovery, Arwen sensed the urgency of their task and the ever-growing shadow that clung to their path. A reminder that though the scales gathered strength, so too did the forces arrayed against them. But united, their harmony soared stronger, ready to face whatever trials the icy winds of destiny would bring. Resplendent beneath the glow of an iridescent moon, the airship soared above the clouds, carrying Arwen and her companions toward the final chapter of their quest. Each cherished artifact hummed in unison now, the harmony whispering secrets of Lithoria's true heart. Kalen stood at the helm, the crisp air sharpening his thoughts. "The verdant pinnacle," he began, eyes fixed on the distant silhouette of their destination, "is where we'll find the last scale. We must be ready, for not just our allies follow us." The horizon shimmered, revealing the majestic heights of the verdant pinnacle, a mountain crowned with emerald forests where mystery lay hidden beneath its lush facade. The melody of the Veridian Scales resonated at its strongest here, calling them home. As they approached, whispers of the wind increased, carrying an unsettling pressure. Alara joined Arwen, resting a hand on the harpist's shoulder for support. "We've come so far," she remarked, her voice soft yet bolstered by resolve. "Whatever confronts us, it ends here." "We're expected," Arwen replied, her voice in tandem with the symphony. The shadows had waited, biding their time. Their arrival was met not by foes but by the mountain's turbulent guardians, spectral figures of earth and spirit intertwined. These arboreal sentinels materialized from the living canopy, eyes filled with the depths of ancient wisdom. The leader of these beings, a towering figure enrobed in bark and leaf, stepped forward. "Children of the Scales," it intoned, voice a deep rumble of foliage and stone. "You seek the final piece, the verdant heart, but to wield this power requires unity beyond form, bonds forged in trials untold." Arwen stepped forward, her harp held like a bridge between divergent paths. "We are ready," she said, confidence lacing each word. "For we seek not power, but balance, a world where hope casts away shadows." The guardians surveyed each member, as if parsing their very souls. Then, slowly, it nodded, gesturing to the summit, a place where the world's heartbeat thudded from within Earth's veins. With the ground shifting like a waking giant, they ascended, overwhelmed by the mountain's grandeur and the song that intertwined their fates. At the summit, Arwen found herself standing before a stone dais where the final scale rested, veined with vibrant life and intertwined with the mountain itself. As she placed her hand upon it, a convergence occurred, a blinding light erupting as if to consume them. Yet there was no fear among them, just the unyielding resolve of their united spirit. The shadows that had long lurked made their move, but found themselves halted by the sheer force of unity Arwen and her companions embodied. Their melody transcended the limits of power, binding foe to friend in an unbreakable dance. At this peak of adversity and triumph, they realized the truth. The real challenge lay not just in retrieving the relics, but in proving the strength of bonds forged through adversity. The final chapter awaited, a testament of their journey, as the forces of Lithoria entwined for the last, most compelling note in this aged symphony. The summit of the verdant pinnacle was a tapestry of light and shadow, where legends converged upon the living stage of Lithoria's destiny. As Arwen's fingers caressed the final Veridian scale, a resonant chord vibrated through the ether, a melody both ancient and newborn, spanning the ages like a cosmic symphony. Around her, Kalen, Alara, and their newfound allies gathered, the weight of their journey a chorus in the air. Their struggles, once individual motifs, intertwined into a harmonious whole. The scales shone brilliantly now, a beacon of potential, holding the fragility and strength of their world. In the valley below, shadows that had once menaced them lingered, not as adversaries but as echoes seeking understanding. Light cascaded over them, each beam a bridge from past to future, tying loose ends with radiant finality. Kalen, ever the sentinel, observed the transformation with measured solemnity, recognizing the significance. "This isn't the end," he said, transfixed by the panoramic beauty unfolding before them, "but a new beginning. For us, for Lithoria, reborn." Alara, her eyes bright with unshed tears of relief and joy, responded with her typical fervor. "Let's usher in a world worthy of this unity," she urged, gripping her daggers as both safeguard and symbol of her journey. Together, they encircled the dais, a circle of unity encapsulating every victory and hardship shared. As Arwen struck the final chord on her harp, the Veridian Scales emitted a brilliant aurora, weaving the elemental magic of Lithoria with the primal heartbeats of its inhabitants. A profound silence followed, as if the world itself held its breath, teetering on a precipice of unspoken fears and aspirations. Then, slowly, a gentle pulse radiated outward, a ripple through reality that slowly transformed the shadows into memories lost in time and pain, into whispers of resilience. "Change is here," Arwen whispered, feeling the truth of it reverberate through her bones, the echoes of her ancestors anointing her with their legacy. And so, as the light waned to a comforting glow, the guardians of Lithoria, a patchwork of different realms, races, and tales, descended the mountain, heading towards an uncertain yet hopeful dawn. The world would remember the echoes of the Veridian Scales and their concerted melody, a testament to courage beyond measure and unity that transcended form or foe. Arwen knew that within every silent pause there existed the potential for renewal. In harmony, Lithoria would thrive. Underneath the endless sky, where dragons had once danced and legends had once whispered, a tale of transformation had been woven, a sonnet that redefined an ancient realm on the brink of eternal chaos, turning its gaze instead to the infinite horizon of possibility.